Marcus Rashford, Amad Diallo, Alejandro Garnacho, bench 1, start 2. Erik Ten Hag is facing a serious selection dilemma because many of his players are returning from injury. My question is, how on earth is he going to line up this team ahead of the ultimate game? It is Man United versus Manchester City in the FA Cup final. A game of revenge, but most importantly, a game that could save a job. Subscribe, like, and share this video. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Webb. If you're catching me for the first time, I hope you can make it a habit to visit us every day, because every day we drop multiple videos for you concerning Manchester United. Now, the mood is different now, honestly. After putting the painful Premier League behind, it is now time to focus on what has been the only good thing about this season, the FA Cup, where Man United again is in the final. And guess what? Unlike most of the past times, the games we played in the FA Cup, we now have probably a full squad. I think, with the exception of Luke Shaw, I think is the only important player who won't be available. The rest of the players will be there, including Harry Maguire. It is believed he will be back. Rafael Varane will be back. All these players who have been injured will be back, especially those we need in the starting 11 now, meaning we will have our guns in place to take on the mighty Manchester City, trying to deny them a double. Honestly, these neighbors in blue cannot be taking a double. They just want a treble. They take a double on us again. We should be the party spoilers for them. Can't we? I think we can. But question is, if you're Erik Ten Hag in that attack, and we do know Erik Ten Hag loves to play with three forwards. If it were up to me, honestly, considering the opponent, with the players returning in the central defense, I would push Casemiro and Amrabat, both of them, start them in the middle, put there Kobe, put there Bruno Fernandes, and play with two forwards up front. Meaning, I would sacrifice one of the wingers, either Garnacho or whoever, or Marcus Rashford or whoever. But let's assume we stick it to Erik Ten Hag's style, because he loves to play with three attackers and three forwards attacking. Question is, of those three, Marcus Rashford is fit, Alejandro Garnacho is fit, Amad Diallo is a new revelation. He's fit. I think Anton has fallen off already. We cannot include him in the conversation. Who would you bench? Which two would you start? Give me your opinion. Drop down in the comment section, and I'll of course respond to that. But for me, here's the thing. I think the obvious one is Amad Diallo. If Amad Diallo is fit at this point, there is no way of starting him on the bench. He has proven to be our most important player. He's on form. He's enjoying himself. He's just kick-starting. He's fired up the way Alejandro Garnacho at some point was fired up when he started starting games. You don't, stop that. You don't stop that. A player is fired up like that. You keep the fire going. You keep them on. You keep them going. You keep them going. So I think Amad Diallo is a non-negotiable, in my view. He's different. He's footed, first of all. That player, left foot, he's unpredictable. That makes him unpredictable. Left-footed players with flair are unpredictable, so they always are going to trouble most of these right-footed defenders. So there's no questions about Amad Diallo starting. I think he gives us a different dimension in the team. That's a given. Now, and the two, Alejandro Garnacho and Marcus Rashford, is where for me I'll have the debate. Because, first of all, we know that Marcus Rashford has probably shown he's off form. His body language shows you he's not interested in playing. But that doesn't take away the fact that he has got a good record against the so-called big teams, including Manchester City. Rashford has scored over 30 goals against the big six. I think six of them against Manchester City. Now, you think about that and you're thinking, this is his team, and players are psyched up against particular teams. If you scored so many goals against a particular team, you're always going to feel the fire in you when you're facing them. Just there's a confidence you get. Now, I think the most recent is the beauty he scored when they beat us 3-1 in the last Premier League game. Now, question is, if you're Erik Ten Hag, do you bank on that and start him and play him, hoping that he will show up again? Because this is a side he enjoys scoring against. Even if he has not been playing so well, he's not injured, but he has been benched, coming on as a substitute for a few minutes and pretending to be there but not there. Do you base on his poor form and say you're not playing, or do you bank on the fact that he has got a good pedigree against Man City and the teams in that caliber? He has got the experience to play in a final like that. He's an experienced player. He's an important player, at least for that particular opponent. Do you put him there, or do you sacrifice him and start a Garnacho? Now, Garnacho on the other side, enjoys starting where Marcus Rashford plays. Remember, the right wing is already taken by Ahmad. It's Ahmad's for keeps. Unless he's injured, it's Ahmad's department for keeps. So the battle is between Garnacho and Rashford on the left. Now, I told you the pros of Marcus Rashford having the pedigree mostly. He has done nothing this season, but he has got the pedigree. He's still Marcus Rashford and he's still Manchester City. He's still the team scored probably his best goal of the season against that bullet after a pass from Bruno Fernandes. Now, for Garnacho on the other side, what do you do if you're Erik Ten Hag? He has started nearly every game since he broke into the first 11. You've been starting him and nearly almost not. I think he has only substituted him once or twice. He does not touch him. He's like an untouchable. So he has been there playing through the good times. He played when he started. He was playing so well. Scored arguably the best goal of the season. Consistently has been put there, threatening and threatening. Then he became stale. Things are not going his way. He looks a bit lost, short of ideas lately, bits off a man, and he struggles to make a decision. So he's sort of off form. He has lost his form now, but he has been there. If you're Erik Ten Hag, do you then decide to pull out Alejandro Garnacho, this 19-year-old kid who has given you all? And I think honestly, Erik Ten Hag has been trusting this Garnacho kid because of his attitude. I think he's one of those kids who he feels has played for him consistently, trying to give his best consistently, and he's enjoying his football, expressing himself. So that's why he has given him the trust. Now, do you bench him on the final game of the season, the most important game of the season? Because if Erik Ten Hag failed to bench Garnacho before, even against Brighton, does he then can he have the audacity, the confidence to bench him against Man City in the FA Cup final, the most important game of the season? What message would it send to that kid, especially if Erik Ten Hag is going to stay a bit longer? Isn't he destroying the confidence of the kid? Because Garnacho must be fired up in his belly to try and show up and bring on his best game, wear his best cleats for that game against Man City, because it's the final of all finals. For Man United, that's like a Champions League final. Very important a game. So what do you then, how do you handle Garnacho? I feel like Erik Ten Hag put himself in a tight position, a tight situation. I think if he had started resting Garnacho, when it started going bad for him, it would be easy for him to make the decision to bench him against Man City, because the reality is he's not performing. He's not performing. If anything, for me, because if it were up to me, I would be for parking the midfield and kill the width. So Garnacho and Rashford would be benched and have Ahmad and Hoyland start. But uh, no, Erik Ten Hag won't do that. Let's go with his formation with the three forwards. I'll probably bench Amrabat. Amrabat didn't have a good last game, so obviously Casemiro will go back in the middle, Kobe and Bruno, and then he'll have probably most likely Garnacho, and could even start Rashford ahead of Ahmad. This Erik Ten Hag, but what I'm certain he will start with three wingers. So for me, my verdict on the question who starts among the forwards, because the obvious one, the given one, should be Hoyland up top. And Erik Ten Hag is a bit funny. He might want to bring the same style he brought against Brighton and bench Hoyland and start his 4-2-2-2, whatever. Uh, Without a striker. I think that would be insane. I think the supporters will call for his head. I'm hoping the games he has been bringing on Hoyland as a substitute have been to rest him for the FA Cup final. I'm hoping that was his tactic. But my take for me is I would bench Marcus Rashford, whereas yes, he has got the pedigree against Man City. It's the last game of the season. It could be again the motivation he needs to fight one more time. It could be the game that saves his time at Man United. I still think he has not warranted, he has not granted, he has not earned the right to start against ahead of even Garnacho, who is not on form. So if Erik Ten Hag has got to play two wingers in that game, they should be Garnacho and Amad Diallo. Rashford drops on the bench again. And he's trending, by the way, on social media. Rashford is still trending. Of course, there are people who are defending him, saying, he was a good player. It's the boss who has not got the best out of him. But there are people who don't want to know because, he has been bashed at games. The fans are not happy. I'm imagining if he comes out at Wembley in the tunnel, the traveling supporters will be booing him, some of them. Some of them would be booing him. So it wouldn't be a good atmosphere for him anyway, because not so many people really have got any sympathy with him lately. But that would be my take. So if Erik Ten Hag has got to play two wingers, it's Garnacho and Ahmad. But if he chooses to pack the middle, sacrifice one winger, and then two solid midfielders in Casemiro and Amrabat, Kobe, Bruno in the middle, because in the back Casemiro is creating way for Lisandro Martinez and Varane. In the centre back, Owen Maguire, whoever Erik Ten Hag would choose. Then I would sacrifice Garnacho and Rashford and start Ahmad and Hoyland as the guys trying to look for the goals. Because honestly, we're not going to have a lot of the ball. We're just going to try and catch these guys on the counter. And we've seen Ahmad sprint well. You saw the goal he scored against Liverpool. He's good with those counters. He has got the energy. He can track back and sprint back. So, yeah, we can rely on him. He has got the pace and the different dimension he brings. He's also unpredictable. These Man City poor defenders, who I don't think Man City has a beautiful defense. They just have good players with the ball. They just press you and you don't have time to penetrate them. So you can catch them on the counter and you can get a goal. That's my take. Subscribe and let me know what you think.